Thomas Gray, The Elegy written in a country churchyard. Stanza 1 to 4. As it opens, Elegy written in a country churchyard begins with the description of the evening in a rural place. The evening church bell tells the passing of the day. The cattle breed as they turn homewards. Tired farmers also follow. Darkness begins to cover the world. The speaker, that is the poet, is standing in a graveyard. All is quiet and only the beadle buzzes and the owl hoots. Among a group of elm trees, there is the graveyard. It belongs to the village. There are burials of the villagers' ancestors in the graveyard. Stanza 5 to 8. In these stanzas of Elegy written in a country churchyard, the poet goes on to talk about the people buried in the graveyard. They are sleeping in the beds that are low to the ground. No sound can wake them up. The twittering of the swallow and the morning call of the cock, even horn cannot wake them up. Their wives and their children, nobody cares for them anymore. They were hard-working men when they are alive. Their plowing, their harvesting, and their farming all were efficient. The speaker asked not to look down upon their simple life and hard work. Ambitious people think of village life as simple, but the villagers had their joys and sorrows much like others. Stanza 9 to 12. Also, the poet says that poor are not inferior to the rich in death. Invariably, every human life ends in death. The beauty, the wealth, the glory all lead to the unavoidable end. The villager's grave doesn't have the grandness in ceremonies and tombstones, but none of that can bring a person back to life. So there is no use of them. One should remember that no one knows that one of the dead villagers may have achieved greatness in life. Therefore, there may be a ruler or a poet buried in there. Stanza 13 to 16. In these stanzas, the poet remarks the villagers who were dead would have talent. There might be a Milton or a Cromwell buried there. They did not get opportunities to prove themselves, like gems hidden deep under the ocean and like desert flowers. They are perished without notice. Given opportunities, they would have also succeeded. People would have read their deeds in history. Stanza 17 to 20. To put the content of these stanzas in a nutshell, the villagers did not wish to involve in trickery and deceit. They were honest people and wished to lead simple lives, so they kept themselves away from the mad crowd of cities and kingdoms. They were true to themselves. They liked peace and honesty. But still, there are markings to note their memory. The tombstones were simple, the language was ordinary, but there is truth in their memory. Stanza 21 to 24. The dead villagers rest in the graveyard without recognition. Also, this poem will be tribute to them. They lived their lives with morals. They died in care of a loving person, and they closed their eyes with prayers in one's eyes. One day, a kind soul may come and inquire after the dead one out of curiosity. Stanza 25 to 29. If someone asks about the poet who rests in the graveyard, one of the villagers may talk about him. A free-spirited man was the poet. He went to the mountains in the morning, stood under the beech tree sometimes, then he went to the brook. Besides, he was sometimes muttering his fancies. The villagers would say that he missed seeing the man one day. The poet was missing. The villager did not see him in his usual places, but he saw the funeral procession and how the man was buried in the graveyard. Stanza 30 to 33. In this part of the poem, he says that his elegy would read thus. Here lies the young man who was not popular. His life was full of sorrow. Knowledge was his only wealth. He gave his life to misery and all he longed was for a friend to support. One need not look away to know about him. All that he did lies with him, close to God in lap of earth.